Good Saturday morning. This is a really short and sweet one with St. Mark, okay? I'm just going to comment on the last line. This may be a short video. I ain't got much to say. But it says, Jesus came with his disciples into the house. Again, the crowd gathered, making it impossible for them even to eat. When his relatives, leave it to the family, when his relatives heard of this, they set out to seize him. For they said, he's out of his mind. This is the gospel of the Lord. That's the last line. He's out of his mind. He's nuts. See, I get to this one. I felt called to the priesthood when I was in the 7th or 8th grade. Not because I wanted to be, and it sure the hell didn't come from my family. They're not even close, okay? My father never went to church except on Easter and Christmas. And my mother was very, very religious, but she wasn't pious. She wasn't externally so, okay? All right, you got to know that. It didn't come from, we're Tuscans. We're either very, very devoutly religious or very, very pagan. Take your pick, okay? Well, we were straddling. I wouldn't want to say which side, okay? We were religious, but not fanatical so, and not overly so. Not in my family, anyway. South Italians tended to be far more, okay? But Tuscans, we took pride in our independence, even especially from the church, all that stuff. Whatever. Anyway, we're neo-pagans. We're Renaissance people. Whatever, it's in our blood. Any case, I felt called because this guy in day camp said something to me about being a priest, and I don't know how the hell it got stuck in my head. I couldn't shake it, okay? Literally true, but I had never said anything to my parents about it, but I said it to my Aunt Anita. And one day, Anita told my mother. And my mother said, he's nuts. Just like this. He's out of his mind. He's nuts. So, he's nuts. No, are you crazy? He's crazy. He's nuts. What are you, nuts? See? Anyway, it's a funny thing because I'm grateful for that line because, in a way, there is a madness to religion. It's to believe in the unbelievable or the transbelievable. Is to be able to believe and give your life to something that is not tangible. It's not immediately tangible. It is not for self-advancement or self-advancement. It's not the right word. Enhancement. It's a mission. It's a call into a mystery of life in which the immediacies of life's rewards are removed. Family, for instance. You're not going to get married. You're never going to have a family. And you could say, well, you weren't in. No, that's not true. My mother said it to me, too. My mother had a way of putting it together. She said to me, you'll never make it, Raymond. She said, because you like girls. Yeah, she was right. As soon as I got to kindergarten, noticed there was a difference between boys and girls. I was for the difference. Viva la difference. Boy, I'm nuts about girls. Still am, I got to admit it. I love women. That's why my mother says, you love girls. You love women. And I do. I have to say that I love women. I love the company of women. I love women. And God calls me to be celibate. He must have a sense of humor, okay? He must have a hell of a sense of humor. Whatever the case, it's not what I wanted. It's what I got called to. And the same with the Passionists. Again, I went on a retreat because my brother talked me into it, okay? He and Al, my friend Al. I went. Reluctantly, I said, oh, okay. It was right after Christmas. I can tell you when it was. It was December 27th, 1957. Went to Passionist Monastery in Hartford. I was sitting there, and Benny Maughan gave the sermons. Father Benedict Maughan, God almighty, was he good. And I remember we took a tour of the monastery, and I saw the heroic character of their life. And I saw when the brothers came in and the monks came in and they chanted the divine office. And when they sang for Mass, they were extraordinarily beautiful. And I was caught up in the beauty and the austerity all at the same time of Passionist life. And then I wanted that. If I had to go this route, which I didn't want to go, but if I was going to go this route, then give it to me full tilt. And I never regretted it. Passionists gave me everything. The trajectory of my life is it was beyond my mind. It was a great mystery. It went way beyond anything I could have ever thought of or imagined. It was so far beyond the ordinary. They took absolutely raw material And they saw in me something I could never have seen in myself. My intelligence, my abilities, nothing. I never saw. I was a dummy in high school. I was a jerk. Whatever else you want to put it. I couldn't. I don't want to even go into it. And what they saw something special in me, and they teased it out, honed it, sharpened it, and launched me. They launched my life. They launched me into a life of unimaginable beauty and goodness, creativity. Who would have ever believed that I'd be a university professor? The guy who could barely get out of high school. Without the passionist, I don't know what I would have done with my life. But I would have never had the richness that I've had. It's an adventure. Yeah, he's out of his mind. It was beyond my mind what I could have ever thought of. Could have never imagined myself to be chairman of a philosophy department at a major university. Have colleagues who are world famous colleagues in terms of some of the finest philosophical minds in the world, to be my friends, colleagues, to be in a world of high intelligence and all the rest, and be in a parish which I had no use for. As a kid growing up, just went to Mass every day, but I didn't want any part of the parish as such. To be engaged in the parish for the last 50 years and finding it one of the richest elements of my life, what an adventure. Out of his mind, truly beyond my mind, not out of it in the sense of insane, but beyond anything I could have imagined or controlled. The great adventure of existence itself, of life itself. That's what comes from being called. I got called into an adventure and didn't know it. When Bob Bruner said to me, "You ought to be a priest," I wish he kept his frickin' mouth shut. But he didn't. And in that voice, he triggered me onto a path that has turned out to be a colossal adventure of grace and mystery, wonderment. When I sit here thinking where I have been, what I have done, what I've achieved, what I've survived, the love that I've had in my life, the adventure of life itself, unimaginable at that time. Unimaginable. And yet here I am. See? He's out of his mind. He's out of my mother. He's nuts. And in a sense, yes. Because the faith is a call into the madness of the divine beauty. And you don't know where it'll take you. You see it when you got married. You were called into mystery, not the certitude of love, but the adventure of intimacy. And you had your children, the same. Who could guess it? You got to be nuts, and that's the beauty of being nuts. You're allowing the mystery of life to take a grip on you, to grip you in its adventure. And that's the adventure of God himself. He doesn't call us to security, but the madness of adventure, the wildness of the desert. Thank you, Moses. See? The wildness of the adventure. When we look back on our lives, probably the best expression is, wow, holy cow, wow, what an adventure. What an adventure. So I think about that now. I'm 80 years old. I think back, who would have guessed it? He was out of his mind. What an adventure. I am so grateful.